And let's see, I'm going to share my sound, optimize for video clip, and under advanced, I'm going to share a portion of the screen. So if you're using Zoom, those are 3 options that I suggest that you select as you're working on your lesson. So that way you can share the audio narration if you want. You can share the portion of the screen that you want to share during the Zoom call. And that just gives you some flexibility. If you're teaching with Google Meet or another platform, there's probably different settings that you would use. But thank you guys for joining today. So this is part 2 of our webinar series, and we are going to be talking about the second part of the Light of the World lessons. So last time we talked about part 1, getting started with the theme picture. And that's just a sort of warm up exercise for our students to show us what English they already know and to help us evaluate where they are, what they need to learn, and for them to kind of show off that they do know some things and build their confidence and start thinking in English, because it takes a little bit of time for you to switch your brain over from one language to another. And so the theme picture is kind of a great way to do that. They can just be looking at the picture, naming objects, or making sentences about the picture, depending on their ability. Another thing I wanted to point out is that for each lesson, we have teacher's notes for each slide. And so if you view the slide in slideshow view or normal view, you can see the teacher's notes. And if you don't want your students to see them, because sometimes the teacher's notes contain answers, you can just share the portion of your screen that doesn't have the teacher's notes. But like right now, I can see my teacher's notes, but you guys can't see them if I go like that. So the teacher's notes are pretty detailed, so that brand new teachers who have not taught ESL before can find a lot of the answers that they need to questions and have kind of a script of what to say as they're going through these lessons. I'm also going to switch my view right now just to make the screen a little bit bigger to presenter view. And once again, I'll show this part. Okay, so with the theme picture, we show a picture, ask the students to talk about it, and then we briefly point out some of the key words. And these words are the ones that we're going to be studying in our vocabulary and grammar section, which is part 2 of our lesson. So in the vocabulary section, you will see pictures and then the words beneath them that tell the students what the pictures are. And so the first picture we have here is water. And so we start out by saying the words in a simple sentence. So I would say, this is water. This is water. And you guys, the students, are just going to watch and listen. And then after I say it in a sentence a couple of times, I will say the word water, water. And then I will ask the students to repeat. Now, if we're in a classroom, everybody can repeat at the same time in chorus. The whole class can say water, water after me. On Zoom, it doesn't always work as well because when more than one person is talking, it kind of cuts out the background noise. So they may not, it will not be as smooth, but we're gonna, so we can have the option, we can have everybody do it in chorus, or you can call on the students individually to do it. But let's just try it in chorus right now. So I will say water, and then you guys repeat water. So water,
Water.
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 Very good, very good. So we have the model, the repeat, and then we have solo. And so I'm going to call on individuals to say it. So in G, what is this?
Water.
Very good. Debbie, what is this?
Water.
Very good. Excellent. Nice job. And you notice here, water has a little asterisk on it. And if you see an asterisk, it means check your teacher's notes that there's some comments on it. And so in the teacher's notes, it will show you here that 3 of the words we have in this lesson, food, water, and bread, are non-count nouns. And so they are not usually used in the plural form. They're used with a singular verb and preceded by some instead of in the indefinite form. So we say, I need some water instead of I need a water. Again, if your students don't ask about it, it's fine. This is just additional information for the teachers to understand. At this level, lesson 3, we're just really happy if the students can approximate pronouncing the word water. But just so the teachers know, water is a non-count noun. And as we get later into the lessons, we'll go more involved in those. But also in case you have students who ask, well, why don't we say waters? Or you can let them know water is usually used with a container. We say a bottle of water, or a cup of water, or a gallon of water, because that's a non-count noun. All right, any questions? Now we'll go on to the next one, number 2. And this one is a verb. And so verbs are always preceded with the word to when we teach them. So it's to help. So you can see in the picture, the man helps the woman stand, to help. And they give a little sentence here also, please help. So that's a common sentence we would use with the word help. So I'm going to say the word a couple of times. To help, to help. Please repeat.
To help.
To help.
Very
To help.
good. Very good. And then the sentence, please help. Please
Please
help.
help.
Very good. Very good. Joseline, can you repeat? Please help. Please help.
Please help.
Excellent. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, and picture 3 is food. We have many types of food here. So I will model it. This is food. This is food. 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 Please repeat.
Food.
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 Food. Good. And it's often helpful, especially with beginner students, if we use gestures. So for listen, sometimes we'll go listen, repeat, repeat. And so that's kind of a signal, repeat. Now it's your turn, right? And then we have certain, then I usually do things like thumbs up for good. But it can help a lot with students who are not understanding every word to have some consistent gestures. All right, and then we would go through that. So I will say, Tanya, what is number 3? Oops, we lost Tanya. Debbie, what is number 3?
Food.
Food, very good. Ingie, what is number 3?
Food.
Excellent. And number 4 is a table. A table. This is a table. Please repeat.
A table.
Table.
Good. Now notice when we have the indefinite article with the noun
A table.
a table,
Table.
we want to pronounce that with the schwa sound, instead of a, so that the language sounds more natural. So typically when we use the article in a sentence, I see a table. The is unstressed and it's reduced to a schwa sound, which is instead of a. And so as you're demonstrating it, if you can say instead of a, it will help your student's speech sound a little more natural. We can also point out here, so a table is 1 and tables, plural, is 2 or more. So a table, 1, tables is 2 or 5 or 10 tables. So Jocelyn, what is number 4?
Table.
A table. Very good. Very good. And Debbie, if I have 2, what is the word?
Tables.
Tables. Very good. Very good. Nice job. And so again, depending on the level of my students, if they've got this, they are already familiar with these words, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. We don't want them to get bored. And so then we will go on to the next slide. But if they're still struggling with some of these, we can spend more time on it. And I can point to different ones and ask them about it. I can also, let's see, let me pull out a presenter view for a second. What I can also do is hide the words, oops, to make it a little bit more challenging for them. So I can either do that with my Zoom view feature, or I can just go in PowerPoint. I can go up to insert, shape, and then just pick a rectangle here. And then, oops, let me move this over so you can see my whole screen. And then I can take this rectangle and drag it over to hide the words. So this is a fun way just to test if they are really understanding it and if they do know these. So then I can ask, Ingie, What is number 1?
Water.
Excellent. Tanya, what is number 4?
A table.
Good. A table. A table. Very nice. Jocelyn, what is number 3?
Food.
Food. Good. And Ingi, or Debbie, what is number 2?
To help.
Well done. Nice job. Okay. And so then if I want, I can use this rectangle again as I go to the next slide. And if I wanted to, I could again just paste it over there to hide those words or show those words as necessary. Any questions?
The presenter's view, was that at the bottom?
So the presenter's view, it's under, and my computer, it's at the top here under slideshow.
Okay.
And then I click on presenter view.
Okay.
If you, go ahead, Tanya.
And then when you do presenter view,
Mhm.
you already showed just portion of your screen, right?
Right.
And then your notes are on the side now, unless you enlarge the screen.
Exactly. Yeah, my notes are
Okay.
on the side. So in presenter view, what I can see is I see the main slide. I see my notes. I see the upcoming slide. So on the top right, this is the next slide, so I can be prepared for that. And then I see all of the slides down at the bottom.
Okay. And then to get that off the screen, how'd you do that?
So there's in Zoom, if I share a portion of my screen, it puts a
Okay, it's a
green
portion.
square around it. And I can
Okay.
just grab that green square and pull it wherever I want to show a portion of my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question. And there's also a little timer here, so you know how long you've been working. Although we went out of presenter view and back in, so it started over at 1 minute. But if you stay in presenter view, that can be a helpful clock for you. Okay. And then again, on the following slide, we would do the same thing. We would go over these words, and I've got the rectangle here, but you could take that off as you're showing those words. And I also like to have real objects. So as we're learning the word fork, I have some forks, and I can hold it up for my students, and I can say, what is this? What are these? When I have more than one fork, and so we can show the plural. I can have spoons and water. And so it's always nice to be able to have actual physical objects, especially if you're in a live in-person classroom, because then you can pass the bottle of water and pass the forks around the class, and the student can practice saying fork while they're jabbing the tines into their finger. But you get that tactile, is you're engaging as many senses as possible. So if they can feel the coolness of the water, and they can smell the food, and they can feel the fork as they say those words, all of that sensory input helps them to retain the vocabulary. And then we go on to the next slide. So in the level A1, there's usually 12 vocabulary words that the students will learn in this section. And so we would go through all of these vocabulary words. Again, it'll depend on your class, how much time you spend on it. If they already know a lot of these words, it'll go quicker. You can also encourage them to write down these words in their notebook. Or if your students already have printed handouts of the PowerPoint, they can take notes on there. You know, sometimes students will want to translate it into their own language or write notes about how the word is pronounced, and they can do it on those sheets or electronically. So if they're using the PowerPoint app or the PDF app on their phone, they can actually write on their phone or their mobile device any notes they have about the lesson. So that's the first part of the vocabulary and grammar lesson. Debbie, you have a question?
It's just, no, a statement. Something I learned in my teaching is to pronounce the word how we actually say it. Like, I could say bottle with the T sound, but if I listen to myself, that's not really how I say it. I say bottle, and it sounds like a D. So I learned to do that.
Yes, and that's a really good point. And the way that we spell words or think they should be pronounced, like a bottle, is not really the way we say them in real life. Jocelyn?
Yes, is more different as que helps your teacher fears. The pronunciation, because she's Indian, is there are something pronunciations more different.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you speak Indian English or British English, they do say bottle, or they say it more like bottle. I can't do it. But a nice thing we have here is we have the narration feature. So if you want to hear it, you can just click on that.
Listen and repeat. 9. A bathroom. A bathroom. Bathrooms. Bathrooms. 10. A bottle. A bottle. Bottles. Bottles.
Yeah, and that one, the narrator does more of a T sound, whereas usually Americans do a D sound for T's in the middle of the word, like butter or bottle. But it will depend on your regional accent. And there's so many varieties of English. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Jocelyn.
That's an awesome feature there too. That's very helpful.
Yeah, and it's nice because the students can practice listening and repeating. It takes a lot of repetition. And they can either do it here with the PowerPoint or also with the YouTube videos. Now, the next part, so for grammar, let's see. Oops, I am. Okay, so then the next slide we have for our grammar slide, we're practicing the phrase, how are you? Fine. How is he? Fine. How is she? Fine. How is it? Fine. Okay, so we're learning that when we use how are with you, and we use how is for he, she, it. So Tanya, how are you?
Fine. Oh, am I supposed to answer or repeat?
Yes,
Listen
very
and repeat.
good. Yeah.
How are you?
Hi, I'm sorry, and I didn't gesture. So also listen. How are you? Tanya, repeat.
How are you?
Very good. Very good. Debbie, listen. How is he? Repeat.
How is he?
Very good. Angie, listen. How is she?
How is she?
Very good. Jocelyn, listen. How is it?
How is it?
Very good. Very good. Yes. And as we get to the conversation part, then we'll be doing more with A and B. But this, we want to show that it's a question and a response. So how are you? Fine. How is he? Fine. How is she? Fine. How is it? Fine. Fine and good are common responses to the question, how are you? Okay, then our next grammar point for this lesson is I need. So this is where we're using a phrase, I need blank. And we are talking about some things that we need. I need some water. You need some food. He needs a bathroom. She needs a bathroom. It needs a bathroom. You need help. We need help. They need help. So we can practice model repeating and soloing the forms on this chart. So we have the different pronouns, which represent the people, and then the verb need. Now, depending on your class, so need can be hard to explain with gestures. When we have some, we sometimes may want to translate that word or ask the students to use their translation app to figure out what need means. We can do gestures, right? I can make a gesture like, oh, I'm so hot. Oh, I need some water. And then I can show that, or I'm so hungry, like I can hold my belly. I need to stand up probably to hold my belly so you can see it, but I need some food, or I need help. So you can try to act those out a little bit, but in this section of the grammar is where we're just kind of getting them familiar with the framework of the grammar. And then when we get to the next section, which is conversation, we will be practicing it. So let me just skip over there to show you how we will use it when we get to the next section in conversation. So this is when we really act it out. So the words in blue can be substituted, but we start out with A and B. So, hi, Bob, are you okay? What do you need? I need some food. Well, let's go to eat. Yes, let's go. So that's the practical application that we'll be learning of the grammar charts that we introduce here with the vocabulary. Debbie.
Yes, sometimes my students want to know why. Why do we say needs when it's he, she, or it? And I just say, I don't know. That's just the way it is. Is there a reason?
There is not a reason. That's the reason. It just is. So every language has its little quirks. And this one, the third person S in English, is one of the most difficult things, even for advanced learners. They'll make errors with this. And the reason is that it doesn't really give any meaning. You know, if you say he need a bathroom instead of he needs a bathroom, it will be understood perfectly. So that little S at the end, it's just kind of a formality that we use in our language, but it doesn't have a great deal of significance.
Okay.
Yeah. There are other things that there are good reasons for them, like the reason we say or an in front of a word. There are reasons for that, but the third person S is just, that's the way it is. That's
Okay.
what makes
I
English
have a
so
question.
fun. Yes, Inji.
Previous slide, we learned to have, right? So with this slide, it just said have. Probably student might be confused about between them.
I'm sorry. So I didn't quite hear. Can you repeat that one more time?
Wait, okay. Is for student of basic class, they learn to have.
To have.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And word of the vocabulary part.
Oh, right.
And this part is need help, right?
Yes, right.
So they might be confused with it between to help and help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. So when we introduce the verbs, we always introduce them in the infinitive form, to help. And then we usually show it in a sentence, one of the ways it might be used. But because English verbs have so many different forms, it could
Right.
be help, helps, helping, is helping, are helping, did help. That when we introduce it here, the to is just kind of our little cue to show them that this is a verb instead of a noun or an adjective. Yeah, but that's a good point. That can be confusing.
Because I'm not a teacher, just I'm observing how people teach. So
Mhm.
yeah, probably student might be confused between them.
Yes, yeah, it can be confusing. And so that's why we'll give a lot of example sentences like you need help, they need help, so that they can see it can be used with and without the word to. And it looks like Kezia has joined us. How are you, Kezia?
Yes. Hello, good morning. I'm late, sorry.
That's
Hello,
okay.
everyone. Hello, Inti. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So we have just been looking over the grammar and vocabulary section of the Light of the World lessons. I'm actually gonna stop sharing right now. And so next week we will be looking at part 3, which is conversations.